2 leagues, 1 trophy, 42 teams entered but only 8 remain. The quarterfinals are here at One Spokane Stadium, with Spokane Velocity, the 2-time League One finalists, and Colorado Springs, the 2024 title winners of the championship. Only one can walk away from the quarterfinals on ESPN+. Hello and welcome, I'm Ryan Lee. Thank you for joining us. 7 group winners and 1 wild card qualified for the knockouts. Fireworks on the final match day saw Spokane take the top seed of Group 1, marking the first time they escaped the group stage in this competition. But with the blend of League One and championship sides going head-to-head, Spokane has shown they can hold their own. 3 wins against USL Championship opponents since they joined in 2025 ties the most by a League One side in this cup. Of Velocity's starting 11, 6 have previous USL Championship experience. With wins over Las Vegas and Oakland in the group stage, Levy even saw his team's capability to hold up. However, 2 postponed matches left them without any game action in 18 days. So Spokane will have to rely on marking the first time they made it out of the group stage. Not just advancing, but in arguably dominant fashion, the most dominant of anyone in the entire tournament, as they are one of 2 clubs to go undefeated in this year's iteration. Colorado Springs and Tampa were the only 2 clubs to go a perfect 4-0-0 in this year's tournament, both of whom had 10 goals and a +9 goal differential throughout the tournament. For a team often predicated on their offense, their defense led the way, with 3 clean sheets and 1 goal allowed across 4 matches, a big point of emphasis for the Switchbacks since Alan McCann took over in November. However, this tournament has been largely shown to rely on the offense. It's the 4th and final match of the USL Cup quarterfinals, but only one can survive in Spokane. Velocity and the Switchbacks. Lineups and kickoff are next.
At Eastern Washington University, students and faculty work side by side to restore a lost prairie and decrease our carbon footprint. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And urban and regional planning students partner with cities to gather the data they need to address homelessness. Interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world. That's Eastern Washington University and you.
Once in a while, we all want to go wild. We just need a little help. Meet a little help. The 2024 Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition goes over any terrain, so you can go all out. Get a wild deal on a Bronco Sport today. Lease a Bronco Sport Wild Edition for $339 a month for 36 months, or purchase with $3.9 for 36 and get $2,000 wild bonus cash.
Prinx Tires is proud to be the presenting sponsor of the Prinx Tires USL Cup. Built for practical performance and the long haul, Prinx delivers reliability for everyday drivers like you. Visit PrinxTireUSA.com to learn more. We make our way to One Spokane Stadium for the USL Cup quarterfinals. Group 1 winners Spokane Velocity take on the Group 2 winners Colorado Springs Switchbacks in this League One versus Championship match on ESPN+. We take a look at the starting lineups brought to you by Spokane Tribe Resort and Casino, and a whole lot of changes, especially from a long layover. Mauricio is back in goal. His last start was in the 3-1 win against Oakland. John Brown is on the back line. Expect him to come up with his team lead 5 goals. And Alexandra and Pelaez are the two up top, 2 goals apiece for them in regular. For the second time this season in the second different competition, Spokane Velocity versus Colorado Springs Switchbacks with a knockout on the line. As Colorado Springs Switchbacks, they'll be in the gray. They'll go from right to left. In the all black, left to right will be the Switchbacks. As Ryan Lee and the rest of our ESPN Plus crew, we thank you for joining us here at One Spokane Stadium. And a chance potentially to draw first blood early on with Alexandra and Lewis operating the near side. 2 vaguely similar stories in the group stage of the USL Cup, both of whom were very dominant in their respective forms. For Colorado Springs, it was right off the rip, going 4-0-0 across their 4 matches in the group stage. For Spokane, they stumbled early, what looked like a potentially devastating 4-0 loss in Sacramento, but they were able to find a way to claw back and recover very nicely with 3 wins, including 2 against the championship opponents, Las Vegas and in Oakland. Pushing ahead for Waldeck, but couldn't keep it in play. This will put Switchbacks back in their own end of the field. LaCroix circles back and eventually they can play it across goal. Mahoney continues the cycle as he's got Foster on the outside. A somewhat reworked back 4 for the Switchbacks, especially in the way that they gave up their 2 late goals against Rhode Island in their last regular season match in championship play. It was 2 goals in the final 21 minutes, especially for a team that has not necessarily been as reliant on their defense in USL Championship play, but some way, somehow, they've been able to use that as a point of emphasis throughout this tournament, only allowing 1 goal in the 4 matches. They had clean sheets against Phoenix, New Mexico, and Orange County. That +9 goal differential matching Tampa Bay Rowdies, each of whom were the only 2 teams that went the full 4-0-0 in the 2026 USL Cup. I'm sure for both these 2 head coaches, they most certainly were very complimentary of their teams, especially with how they played throughout this entire USL Cup process, even when it was the inaugural Jägermeister Cup in 2024 and last year's as well. Neither time Spokane got out of the group stage. This is the first time they've made it to the knockouts. Same goes for Colorado Springs, of course. A slightly different sample size, only 2 seasons of championship opponents in this tournament. Settled down, Fjellberg enters the box. Fjellberg on the outside, saved by Marancio, back across. Chasing it down is Masareka. Williams holds up play. You can see some of the early possession of Colorado Springs and how that could potentially help them. Fjellberg has really been on a bit of a heater in the USL Championship, one of his best seasons in the league. 6 goals across all competitions, but did get beat by the veteran goalkeeper Carlos Marancio, 2nd team USL League One in 2025. And at least of the discussion in USL circles, one of the more unique goalie tandems, because you have the starter today, the 2nd team League One in Carlos Marancio, but also available is the 1st team USL League One keeper in Sean Lewis, who is also the back-to-back reigning goalkeeper of the year. So no matter where you go with Lee Wiedemann and Velocity, they have great options in net. And Morencio having to get busy less than 5 minutes in. A chance to turn things around for Jack Denton. He gets it back as Heel couldn't complete his pass. Eventually worked back towards Ibrahim Kobi. Spokane being only one of 2 teams to enter the quarterfinals, the other one being Charlotte Independence. However, for the sake of the Jacks, they are, unless something miraculous happens in the last handful of minutes, they are likely out of this tournament by the hands of Hartford Athletic, the reigning champions of this tournament. LaCroix has it back with Echeverry on the near side. Fjellberg taps it to no avail. Eventually help comes for the Switchbacks. A lot of the new wrinkles of this tournament most certainly have made their effect so far in this tournament. If things do get to that point, we will have a football video support system to help the officials confirm calls like goals and penalties and red cards if we need to go there. And even similar to the rest of the group stage, if games go tied, not traditional football rules where you go to the extra 30 minutes and then PKs, it is the traditional USL Cup rules where all draws do go to penalties. So still very much the same competition we've been watching since things kicked off back in April. But also still very different with it being a knockout, something both these 2 teams are familiar with. The 2024 USL Championship trophy winners in Colorado Springs Switchbacks, and the back-to-back reigning League One finalists in Spokane Velocity. However, twice they made the finals, and twice they had their hearts broken in their respective finals. But at the very least, they know, both of these teams, how to handle these type of playoff scenarios. As this is actually a perfect segue to our keys of the game, presented by Ford. For Spokane, when talking to Lee Wiedemann in the midweek, especially because of the long layoff they had. They had 2 postponed games, 1 to travel, 1 to weather. And then even with the lack of practice time because of the recent wildfires within the area, they just have to find a way to get a rhythm and find solutions throughout the match and be those key problem solvers they know they can be as the game progresses. For Colorado Springs in their last match versus Rhode Island, Ellen McCann said they were gifted chances at multiple times. They just didn't take advantage of those. And if they can today, they hopefully can walk away going into the semis, which will be determined who goes where and who goes home tomorrow in the draw. Dip into USL League One play. 18 days without a match for Spokane. Their game versus Chattanooga got postponed to weather. Their game versus the New York Cosmos got held back because of travel situations. As Lee Wiedemann's side look to start the attack up the middle. Heel, his pass got blocked. That allows Foster to settle down. 23 years old today is the Frederick, Maryland native, Isaiah Foster, who starts on that left back slot with the ball. He dropped it back as Echeverria helps out. Long ball, far side. Fjellberg. Lewis in his face. Fjellberg from deep, and that'll be held on by Carlos Morancio. Carlos Morancio, he hasn't had a lot of game action, but he has most certainly been sharp when he has. Last start was on July 11th in that final USL Cup match versus the Oakland Roots, only allowing 1 goal against them. It came in the opening handful of minutes off of a corner, but aside from that, you're talking about 88 minutes after that opening goal, completely unscathed from the Roots. Being on the road, coming back from injury, Lee Veidman acknowledged in that match he was still a little bit less than 100%, to put it nicely. But it was a great showing that he was able to get in that match and basically, aside from the opening 2 minutes, show that he still was very much back in form and there wasn't really any sort of hesitation or limitations to what he can do. Morancio actually started off about the first 7 or 8 matches of this season as the #1 keeper for Lee Veidman, before the prompt injury allowed Sean Lewis to take over, and now they have this beautiful 1-2 tandem in goal should they go there. Especially over the last handful of games. 1 goal allowed 2 matches for Sean Lewis, put him at Team of the Week the last time that Spokane played. And even Morancio, with his previous USL Championship experience with RGV and Hartford before coming to the inaugural Spokane roster in 2024. This will be a lot for a Colorado Springs Switchback team to handle, but one thing they most certainly have is offensive pedigree. Top 6 in the championship in goals scored, but many of those key contributors on the bench today. Echeverria on the outside, he's blocked, returned again. Still on the outside, Foster curls in, couldn't get through. Across on the outside, LaCroix. Still there for the Switchbacks. Fjellberg, that got blocked in front. Simon Fitch had to get in the way, but that draws the first corner of the match. It was a listed back 5 for Lee Veidman, but expect this to be a pseudo back 4 at times, with Siobhan John Brown being listed as one of those wing backs, and this allows Colorado Springs to take the first ICCU corner. Scooped inward, back post, and the jump ball is going Spokane's way. Colorado Springs Switchbacks, and the first season with Alan McCann at the helm, recently announced earlier this afternoon that he was the USL Championship Coach of the Month in July. Perfect 4-0 across the 4 matches they had in July, a dominant 10-2 goal differential within that stretch with a pair of clean sheets as well. Loose ball up top, Louis Hill! Louis Hill, a laser beam in the bottom corner, and Spokane take the lead. That's goals in 3 straight for Louis Hill. He had goals in his last 2 games in league play, comes back after 18 days off, just over a dozen minutes in. And that's a goal not just for velocity, that's a goal for Spokane. After the recent events in the community, they've been chomping at the bit to provide life, not just for this team after the long layoff, but for the community ravaged by the recent wildfires, and that is most certainly a way to start off the USL Cup. 2 assists in the second round versus Oakland Roots. And keep in mind, every goal goes to the football video support. Confirmation of every goal must be had. And they will go to the monitor after every single goal to confirm. And there's the thumbs up from our 4th official, Robert Vinca, as that puts Spokane up 1-0 to start things off at the quarter hour. Brandon Stevens, Ricardo Ocampo, Christian Clark, and Robert Vinca. And our 4th official will also be our official by the monitor as well. They'll correspond with the head official to confirm every goal, also confirm every penalty, and keep in mind, every coach gets 2 challenges pertaining to penalties, red cards, mistaken identity, or goals. So every time we will see a goal, we will have to jump to the monitor on the 4th official. Just keep that in mind for the rest of the match. Maybe a counter punch here for Switchbacks. LaCroix steps in. Had Fjellberg instead goes up top to Williams. Williams in the middle, heel in the way, back to Williams. Pump fakes, lets it go. LaCroix, blocked out. Corner, Colorado Springs. Another ICCU corner, second of the match. Sam Williams, the loanee from Chicago Fire, will take it. Swings out, deep ball, Fjellberg taps it in before Denton intervenes. Retreat all the way back towards Christian Herrera, 29-year-old from New Mexico. Fjellberg, Foster from deep and just misses. A nice crack for Isaiah Foster, potentially trying to get a birthday goal. Has a goal contribution in this tournament, an assist in the opening round against Phoenix Rising. Actually a pretty momentous week for Foster. The Wednesday match versus Rhode Island, 50 appearances across USL Championship. Maybe a chance for Spokane to pile it on. Andre Lewis down at the center circle. Speaking of birthday boys, Andre Lewis, he turns 32 today. 195 of his 323 matches were in the USL Championship. Back in the middle, Alexandra up top, couldn't connect to Denton. That allows the Switchbacks to clear. Rolled off of Andre Lewis as Cameron Lewis retreats. Cameron Miller, retreats from Mauricio. Early control here from Spokane. 4 shots to 2 in the early portion. 70% possession for the Switchbacks, but Spokane, they've made their opportunities count. John Brown works on the outside. As it's a full sprint ahead, bouncing ball, held off by Herrera. Anwar Pelaez was in the mix, but just couldn't get it through. All things considered, Herrera's been really solid in the regular season. 1 win, 4 draws across his 5 starts in league play this year. Last time out, July 4th, allowing 1 goal in a win versus Phoenix Rising. Has not started in the USL Cup this year, but had 3 of them last year. The first time that championship opponents got introduced to the USL Cup after being a League One only tournament in 2024. Alexandra with speed, in the middle for Heel. Score the opener, fans it outside for John Brown. That's blocked, still loose. Injured man in the box. And they'll just poke that one outside with Foster down to ground. This was the last play as John Brown tries to feed in the middle. He had Denton in the box, but it looks like Foster just awkwardly steps on top of the box and rolls, or on top of the ball and rolls out the top of the box. And not necessarily a comfortable situation to be in if you just step on top of the ball and kind of have it roll under you a little awkwardly. But then you kind of have to wonder how to take over possession from here. But it's really been Colorado Springs maybe controlling some of the possession, but you could tell the second Spokane get that first spell of possession, a little bit of control, they want to go the opposite way and do so quickly. Perhaps that long layover of 2.5 weeks has made Velocity a little bit antsy to get back into game speed and get into things as quickly as possible. As we mentioned, in 22 minutes, it is a 1-0 lead for Velocity. They will take extra look at Isaiah Foster, and this is the look at that last goal. Just bouncing around, falls right to heel, no one on him. Foster was forced to recover, the only man in the area. All things considered, great ball by Derek Waldeck to go all the way end to end to find not only John Brown in the one-on-one, but kind of the feed off. And just a friendly ricochet with Luis Heel all by himself at the top of the box. The first team USL League One keeper, or midfielder last year, continues to find a way to just get things done at the ripe age of 32. And because of the heat index, and as we mentioned, wildfires in the local region have forced an air quality alert over the last several days as well, about 3 weeks. So we will have a hydration break here presented by Powerade. All things considered, it is still 84 degrees in the Pacific Northwest, so it is still quite smoldering today. And one of the big things, especially with everything that's gone on in Spokane, you're talking about 3,500 acres plus in about a 2-week stretch. And not just for today's match, but just trying to give back to the local community, allow the first responders to do what they can. All the proceeds for their match in terms of tickets and everything else that has gone on, even of soon-to-be auctioning of formerly used equipment as well, will go to support the wildfire relief efforts. And even their match, they have a USL League One game coming up on Saturday against Corpus Christi. Proceeds to the tickets of that match will also go to the relief efforts. And Lee even said because of this, they haven't been able to practice. They've barely even been able to work out. These guys have just been at the gym in large part in the facility and just try to stay fit, stay ready, use the mentality that they know they have and their experience to keep up with the level that's been required of them at this point of the season and of this point in the tournament. It's one thing to get back to game speed. It's another thing to get back into knockout game speed, especially with 2.5 weeks off. And some of this mounting pressure and this unfortunate, very sudden injury to Isaiah Foster is likely going to draw his day done. This will allow Aiden Rocha to take his spot only 25 minutes in. So Rocha is in, as all substitutions are brought to you by CDA Casino. Rocha did get one of 3 goals in the last USL Cup match against Phoenix Rising in the 4th round of the tournament. Short of John Brown, Fitch follows up. Fitch launches across. Alexandra eventually cradles it in. Alexandra in a battle. He got dropped. And maybe some early anxiousness from the substitute Aiden Rocha. He draws a foul and a free kick. He had 2 assists in the opening 2 goals against Oakland last time out. Luis Heel, the man on top of it. He does have Waldeck alongside as well. It is Heel, curling right to Herrera. Doesn't matter, foul in the box anyways. As of right now, it was a dozen minutes ago from Luis Heel, unassisted, on what is the one and only shot attempt for Spokane in this match so far. Colorado Springs mustering up 4 with 2 on targets. However, you could argue those were 2 very low danger chances if you look back at those. So a little bit of a switch up as you had Foster on the left side. That shifts LaCroix over. Rocha, he's been a guy very much occupying the right. Tejada up top. He'll retreat back. Still with the switchbacks. Working on John Brown, who steps in before that gets heaved towards Rocha. Fjellberg scoops it across. Gray jerseys in the way. It remains with Colorado Springs. Poked out of the box. Pelias couldn't steal it. Still with the switchbacks. As Pelias had a little situation go on there in the near sideline. This is that foul one more time, and Pelias just gets draped all over Rocha as we're back in play. Switchbacks, back in, deflected, over the net. It's been a very tightly contested, not just match, but entire season for both clubs. Oh, Herrera almost fumbled it. He got it away just in time as John Brown was barreling into Herrera. Does win a foul in the process, though. What could that have been if that been actually successful? Fjellberg leads the way, lets it go and scores! Fjellberg finds an equalizer at the half an hour, and Switchbacks tie this game 1-1. What a ball this is, right on Jonas Fjellberg. He works one-on-one, and with all the sliding bodies, you had 4 gray jerseys in the way and found a way to beat out all of them. Just cradles it down, has a try. You have Waldeck and Miller in the way. The little pump fake to get Miller to the ground. And then just slots that one into the bottom left corner to beat out Carlos Marancio. We await the confirmation of the call, as we will with every goal in the knockouts. Head nod to center, and we are officially tied at 1. For Jonas Fjellberg, his 7 goals across all competitions ties a career high that he had in 2022 when he was a member of Indy 11. The 4th year switchback is the Norwegian. He ties this game up 1-1. Sam Williams credited with the assist. And what a tear Fjellberg has been in this tournament as well. You're talking about 3 goals and 4 total goal contributions across 5 matches in this tournament, if you include his equalizer. So there's a reason why Alan McCann, even though you don't have guys like Perez or Bennett in the starting 11, Speedy Williams not even in the selection pool, you still have guys in other places who can make things work. Fjellberg most certainly one of those. Fjellberg on the top 3 with Tejada and Masareka. Is there a chance for Colorado Springs to double down? Fjellberg, the opening goal scorer, with Rocha on the near side. He curls it in. That drops down, still loose. Miller clears, wins the foul. Just the overall quality of Colorado Springs on the attacking end has served so dangerous. Echeverria came in on the follow-up. Just got pretzeled up with Cameron Miller. A lot of experience with those two. However, Cameron Miller, a little bit of the unbeaten path. Spent a year in USL League Two after graduating from Seattle University in 2022. And came to Spokane in 2024 as a trialist and has never looked back. '59 total matches in USL League One play. Fjellberg on the outside. Rocha looking for an option. DeRoma has it dislodged from him. John Brown coughed it up. Physical play as Fitch has a lead. John Brown blocked off by Sam Williams. They keep it going. Masareka try to block inside, and a great diving block by Miller. A chance for Covey to escape his own end. Still inside the attacking half for Colorado Springs. About 10 minutes to go. Williams, Tejada with Fjellberg. Rocha on the outside. Especially accounting for Colorado Springs, they've had to take a lot of trips to the airport as of late. 3rd straight game on the road to New Mexico, to Rhode Island, and now to Spokane. This was that last little try, and What a great block in front. Some of the defensive instincts of Cameron Miller. We talked about his journey through USL League Two, going up against a former first-team Big Ten in Saddam Masareka, who is a pro rookie this year after 2 years with the Terrapins. Final 10 minutes of the first half, and it has been guns a-blazing on both sides. Luis Heel in the 14th, Jonas Fjellberg in the 30th. Time and space for Meji Alexandra. Retreats back towards Miller. Tapped aside for Waldeck. Pushed ahead, Jack Denton on an island. Waldeck draws the first corner for Spokane. Another ICCU corner. First time this will go Velocity's way. Still only one shot attempted in the first half for Spokane. Derek Waldeck to serve the first corner on this end of the field. Waldeck swings out, headed out. Mahoney got on it. Alexandra cycles. Lewis outside for Heel. He clips it in. That head is not quite to goal. Doesn't matter. It goes Colorado Springs' way. Scan now to win one of 20 unique restaurant discounts. Thank you to Caruso's, the Burger Dock, Fish Stick Pub, Costa Tap House, Canola People's Waffle, and Method Juice Cafe. Even if you include the long layoff for Spokane Velocity, they've still won their last 3 matches across league play. And they really needed that 3-game stretch, because prior to that they had 1 win in a 5-game stretch, and they were really struggling to get out of their own way. And that time Simon Fitch got in the way of Masareka. Heel bearing down, and Maples takes the safe option back to Herrera. Fjellberg, the first attacker up top for Colorado Springs, lifts it across. Masareka settles, shoots too high. Windermere Foundation is thrilled to welcome our charity of the month. It's more than a home, it's a way to give back. Please visit our site at windermerefoundation.com. Once again, for the Switchbacks, their top 2 regular season goal scorers not in the starting 11. They are available as a substitute if Coach McCann goes that route with Corey Bennett and Adrian Perez. But they still have 3 more than serviceable options with Saddam Masareka, Juan Tejada, and Jonas Fjellberg. And another viable attacking option, Meji Alexandra. 1-on-2. Waldeck helps out. Back and forth they go in the middle. Pelaez harassed. And DeRoma, the last one out. Still there for Spokane. Great job by Simon Fitch to just lodge it from Frank DeRoma. Five minutes to go in the first half. Now it's Spokane's turn to play keep away, something they haven't done very much, with just a touch over a third of the possession in this match. For a team that only has 3 years worth of history in their name. So many games in knockouts. We're talking about 11 total games in a knockout stage for Spokane across 3 seasons between the US Open Cup and the playoffs, since this is the first time they made the quarterfinals. Andre Lewis sidesteps, wanted to push ahead, but Fitch was not there. Elite Minds, unlock your mind, unlock your game. Visit our website today. Andre Lewis trying to get something through, a 3-year member of the Switchbacks. He's really been a reliable piece for Lee Wiedemann since coming over in the 2024 campaign. Masaraka settles it down, turned over as Alexandra came back. That was one of the big things in that 5-game slide of Spokane's that Coach Wiedemann really emphasized. How they were just too open and too loose, especially on the defensive side. They had humongous gaps that other teams took advantage of, and maybe a chance for Echeverria to do just that. Masaraka along the corner as advantage got played on. And that will bring a delayed yellow card to Spokane. Switchbacks back on with a throw-in. And this was that first yellow card offense. You could very much see the slide on Denton. Heaved in, ricochets around, outside the area. Swung in, still loose, just over the head of Mahoney. And Mahoney, only hands on the head. He knew he had a golden chance. He had Marancio well beat. But maybe a turnaround for Spokane as Pelaez gets walled off. Williams at the center circle. One thing is for sure, Coach McCann wanted a response after going 2 straight scoreless. They were shut out in Rhode Island. They were shut out in New Mexico. They found an equalizer in the 30th. And just finding a way to focus on the details and revert the errors of their ways in the last 2 matches. They have most certainly done that so far. in 45 minutes as we await the mark of stoppage time. Five extra on the board. And it looks like it will be Jonas Fjellberg to take the free kick. Our stoppage time is brought to you by CDA Casino. Fjellberg sent to goal and just misses. That was not off by much. But what an excellent strike from the Norwegian. Had it over the wall, dip under, just narrowly scrapes the roof. Mauricio has the opportunity to send it deep. Lumberbeard Brewing is proud to be the preferred craft brewery partner of USL Spokane. Visit the downtown tasting room for expertly brewed craft beer and food at 25 East 3rd Avenue. Open 7 days a week. One and a half deep of 5, tied at 1. Both goals came within the opening half hour, but maybe one final chance for Switchbacks. Operating. Williams. Rocha. Scooped in, too high. Another try from deep, couldn't hit Tejada. Rocha will keep it deep. As we approach the halfway mark of the 5, DeRoma. Cut off by Waldeck. Just buys breathing room for Spokane. As we mentioned before with Spokane, as that whistle by Pelias draws the ire of the 509 Syndicate, 11 total games of knockouts across the first 2 seasons, not including this year. 5 times they went to knockouts last year. 2 in the Open Cup, 3 in the league playoffs. In 2024, a similar deal. Deep ball. DeRoma couldn't corral, and it was offside. Win big at Spokane's favorite casino, Spokane Tribe Resort and Casino, located in Airway Heights. Pelias ahead. We've seen John Brown get in the grill of Christian Herrera at many points in this match. That's what happens when you have a longtime veteran who bounced around in NISA, the EPSL, and USL League Two before getting his first true professional experience with El Paso in 2022. This is the first time in his career he stayed longer than a full season in a place as Siobhan John Brown. This is his second year with Spokane. Waldeck, maybe one last try before that gets interrupted by Maples. Is there one last chance the other way? Williams directing traffic. Tejada. Benton interrupts. And Spokane will run out the first half. It's a 45 minutes that has truly looked like playoff football. Luis Heel got this game started in the opening quarter hour before Jonas Fjellberg would tie things up at the half an hour. We enter the locker room tied at 1. The only other time these two played was in the Open Cup, and they ended 1-1. We end halftime at 1-1. Perhaps a game winner in the next 45. We take a look around the USL when we come back.
It's true that a Windermere agent's client decided to experiment with power washing their deck a day before the house was supposed to go on the market. It's true that he may have accidentally destroyed said deck. Now, you might wonder, how did that deck get torn out, replaced, and stained in one day, in time for the listing to go live the next morning? We'll never tell.
At Eastern Washington University, students and faculty work side by side to restore a lost prairie and decrease our carbon footprint. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And urban and regional planning students partner with cities to gather the data they need to address homelessness. Interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world. That's Eastern Washington University and you.
I'm a real wild one. Once in a while, we all want to go wild. We just need a little help. Meet a little help. The 2024 Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition goes over any terrain, so you can go all out. Get a wild deal on a Bronco Sport today. Lease a Bronco Sport Wild Edition for $339 a month for 36 months, or purchase with $3.9 for 36 and get $2,000 wild bonus cash.
Back here in Spokane, halftime in the USL Cup quarterfinals. Velocity FC and Switchbacks FC tied at 1-1 as we transition from the quarters into the semis tomorrow at 1 Eastern on the USL's YouTube channel. The USL Cup knockout semifinal draw show has come. Dan Lucas and Tampa Bay Sun captain Jordan Listro from the Gainbridge Super League will select the matchups of the 4 remaining teams still alive. 1 p.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Pacific tomorrow morning or afternoon on the USL's YouTube channel. Well, we took a look around at what's happening specifically within the USL Cup, but when we come back, more from the rest of USL.
Prinx tires in the USL help soccer journeys everywhere to drive harder. From city playgrounds to suburban sidelines, from early mornings to late nights, from fun with friends to winner takes all, from the biggest fan to the biggest heart. And at every turn, Prinx tires will be there for the long haul.
Today, we accomplished nothing. I mean it, not a thing. And it was kinda everything.
This summer, get 1,000 bonus points and a chance to win 250,000 bonus points.
We're back in Washington State, the fourth and final of the USL Cup quarters. Already 2 games down, 1 in progress, and 1 at halftime in the USL Cup as we have entered a little too late. We take a look around the rest of the USL Cup. And when it comes to Tampa and Louisville, it's very clear. You either get all the goals or you get none of the goals, as they ended scoreless through 90 plus. However, Lou City would advance on in PKs against the Rowdies. And for the sake of San Antonio and Miami, not only is it now 2-0 as I'm speaking right now, it's 2-0 San Antonio over Miami. San Antonio on a red card, so they've taken a 2-0 lead, down a man, and they could be on their way of potentially getting into the semifinals, 11-10 the rest of the 20 to 25 minutes that are left in that match. One thing we know about the USL Cup, no matter how many times we've seen this tournament, drama has already unfolded and it has continued to come. A 1-1 game has to be broken when we come back.
De vez en cuando, todos queremos soltarnos. Solo necesitamos un poco de ayuda. Conozca Un Poco de Ayuda. El Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition 2024 pasa por cualquier terreno para que puedas darlo todo. Obtén una gran oferta en una Bronco Sport hoy mismo. Arrienda una Bronco Sport Wild Edition por $339 al mes por 36 meses o cómpralo con 3.9 por 36 y obtén $2,000 de bono Wild.
At Eastern Washington University, students and faculty work side by side to restore a lost prairie and decrease our carbon footprint. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And urban and regional planning students partner with cities to gather the data they need to address homelessness. Interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world. That's Eastern Washington University and you.
Prinx Tires is proud to be the presenting sponsor of the Prinx Tires USL Cup. Built for practical performance and the long haul, Prinx delivers reliability for everyday drivers like you. Visit PrinxTireUSA.com to learn more. Tied at 1 in the quarterfinals of the USL Cup. Both Spokane and Colorado Springs firing on all cylinders to a 1-1 draw in the half an hour. Like plus. We make our way back to the center of One Spokane Stadium in Spokane, Washington. It is 1-1 through 45 minutes. Sam Williams got an assist on the Switchbacks goal from Fjellberg. He now has 5 assists on the season. and the action of this match, just like how it is in the air. Hot and heated, 82 degrees in Spokane. And with the Switchbacks, they have been just flying all over the pitch with their 8 shots attempted in the opening 45, including a pair of corners. The winner, the right to head to the USL Cup semis. The draw will be tomorrow, but a winner must be determined tonight, as we are back for the second set of 45. Spokane in the gray, left to right. Right to left in the all black, Colorado Springs Switchbacks. As Ryan Lee and the rest of our ESPN Plus crew, we thank you so much for joining us here in Washington State, where 8 teams entered tonight hopeful for a trophy. 2 teams' hearts have already been broken, one only about 20 minutes away, and the final 45 here in Spokane. For Velocity, a very familiar spot for them. The 2-time finalists of USL League One in their first 2 seasons in history. Colorado Springs Switchbacks won it all in 2024 before going one and done last season. The first time either club has made the knockout stage in the USL Cup. And for Spokane Velocity, they have shown that even though they had an 18-day layoff because a pair of postponements, they still very much have shown that they're not quite at their peak level because they haven't been able to train or really have any sort of those same sessions because of the, not the layover, but the wildfires in the region and the complications that's caused because of air quality and just the overall health and safety of the players and their family. But one thing you most certainly can't give them credit for, they have built off of their 9-game week that they left off of very well. And especially because of the way that they slumped going into that 3-game week where they secured all 9 points, they found a way to rebound well. And because, as we mentioned, air quality related issues along with the heat in the Pacific Northwest, there will be not 1 but 2 hydration breaks in the second half, 1 per 15 minutes. Fjellberg scored the equalizer in the 30th after Luis Heel busted the door open in the 14th. Masareka wanted to go inside. Lewis blocks it off, but return from Masareka. Rocha across for Fjellberg, and the road bump was Waldeck. So with the highlights we showed at halftime, Hartford beating Charlotte, 1 League One team remains. That is the Spokane Velocity side. It was a very swift and quick death of the Charlotte Independents in their quarterfinals tenure. But there's still hope and life left in Spokane, especially since the last performance, the 3-1 win against Fort Wayne, followed a 3-0 win versus the aforementioned Charlotte Independents. Generated 5 Team of the Week members for Spokane, including Lee Wiedemann, but they'll have to watch out. John Brown comes in, Lewis supports. This gives Fitch time and room to dump it. Mahoney will shoot it all the way back towards Christian Herrera. One thing that is also very apparent in this tournament is those who succeed in the tournament, more oftentimes than not, they are the teams that are also having some semblance of success in regular season play as well. We talked about Spokane and Charlotte. They're both top 6 in USL League One. In the other match that's currently ongoing, San Antonio and Miami, they're both hovering above the playoff line. Hartford, they're 1 point outside the line. Same goes with the Switchbacks, actually. And then Louisville and Tampa, both top 4 in the East. Pelaez settles it down, launches across. Alexandra, the only man there. In the middle, Andre Lewis pumps, goes back. Bodies in black in the way, and DeRoma eventually escapes the scramble. Switchbacks not in the clear yet, but they'll get there eventually as Juan Tejada gets dropped by Kobe. So as we mentioned just there, all 8 teams that made the quarterfinals, they are either above the playoff line or 1 point outside of it, that being Hartford and Colorado Springs in their respective conferences. Siobhan John Brown breaks out for Spokane. Luis Heel forced outside and couldn't keep it in play as Maples was all over him. 170 total professional matches, spent the last 2 seasons in New Mexico. This is his 3rd season in the championship. He's really been all over the map. Not just within the US, but even in North America, starting his career in League One with Toronto's 2nd team. Well short, Fitch intercepts. Yes, John Brown chasing it down, but couldn't corral. And you could see some of the tactical switches that Lee Wiedemann has made in that initial 5-back system that was being utilized at the beginning portion of the match. You can see John Brown and his offensive efficiency. His 5 goals are a career high, believe it or not, on 10 shots on target. So he is scoring every other shot on target. But just the opportunity to have that offensive firepower up front, pair him with a guy like Pelaez, who was one of the team leaders last year. But currently the defense having to do the work. Rocha cuts across. Williams with Mahoney back at the center circle. Fjellberg. Rocha. Rocha in. Didn't get to Tejada. Mahoney, the native of Buffalo, New York, gets it back for the Switchbacks. Fjellberg again, but right to Marancio. Tejada a little unsure of the contact there. One element of the football video support is the coaches are allowed to challenge a call if they want to. Penalties being a part of that, but only allowed within a certain window of time. And it looks like Coach McCann will just let it go. The first year head coach of the Switchbacks, handful of seasons as an assistant. weirdly enough, for Coach McCann, he was a head coach in USL League Two, and then became an assistant with the Switchbacks, and as head coach of championship side, just straight up skipping USL League One. Lee Wiedman on the other end. 3 years as the head man for Spokane Velocity, came in as the USL Championship assistant with Charleston Battery. It really is a small world in the USL, isn't it? Deep ball, Waldeck back in the middle, couldn't locate anyone in gray. LaCroix keeps it in play. Mastereka. Had a body all over him. Eventually worked back outside with LaCroix and Williams. Fjellberg keeps it outside. Tahada gives it back as Rocha wanted to aim for the box. Spokane block it off. Fjellberg helps out, wins the whistle. And we will have some changes made. So not just changes, but we will also have the hydration break here as well. As we mentioned, 2 hydration breaks for the second half. I'm sure fatigue and the respective air quality have kind of jointly played their respective roles here. But it is a 1-1 game here in the USL Cup quarterfinals. A very similar tale to the first time that these two played. Let's take a rewind back to the US Open Cup second round on April the 1st. This was back in Colorado Springs. The Switchbacks would open up the scoring in the US Open Cup. That one got slotted through, and eventually the follow-up. It was headed in off of the set piece, a late game go-ahead. Maples would open it in the 45th. Andrew Booth, who has since gone on loan, would tie it up in the 87th. 120 would solve nothing. PKs would eventually break through, where the Switchbacks would advance into a very nice run in the US Open Cup. They advanced all the way to the round of 16, where they got beat out by their respective Colorado brethren in the Rapids. And they were really dominant in that first match against Velocity. And it ended 1-1 in regulation. Well, look at where we are now at the hour. Luis Heel taking instruction from Lee Wiedman in the 14th. Jonas Fjellberg in the 30th to equalize from Sam Williams. And when talking to the coaches, Alan McCann strategizing with the Switchbacks. Coach McCann had a very simple philosophy that once you're through the groups, it's time to go for the trophy. A sentiment very similarly shared with everyone across this tournament, especially with the way of rotation and midweek games and schedule congestion. You never really know what you got going on. And it's been a long time since many of these Spokane players have played. 2.5 weeks off with a pair of postponements, so this will allow a couple of changes to occur for Spokane Velocity coming out of the hydro break, as all substitutions are brought to you by CDA Casino. It is Nico Brett. His 2 goals against Oakland made him the player of the week in the USL Cup round 4 to wrap up the group stage. He is one of 2 subs made right at the hour for Lee Wiedemann. We also have Colin Fernandez in exchange for Jack Denton. Keep in mind also, Denton is on a yellow card, so you don't want to take any risks there. Even though it doesn't necessarily apply in regular season play, if you do have a semifinal in play, a guy like Jack Denton and his experience and what he's been able to do offensively as just a very athletic frame in the middle of the field, you want to keep that kind of cushioned away from any risk of suspension. That allows Colin Fernandez to come in. The former Peruvian youth international. Rocha ahead. That cross gets blocked. Still in play as Miller gets dropped, and this will go back to Spokane. Scan now to win one of 20 unique restaurant discounts. Thank you to Caruso's, The Burger Dock, Fish Stick Pub, Casa Tap House, Canola, People's Waffle, and Method Juice Cafe. This is also one of the more unique matches of the quarterfinal because you have one of the most offensively dominant teams in the championship in Colorado Springs, and a team like Spokane who can just smother their opponents. You're talking the 3rd fewest goals allowed in League One for Spokane and the 6th highest scoring attack for Colorado Springs. Tejada had it dislodged from Fernandez. Doesn't matter, whistle goes that way. Select is proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL. From grassroots to the pros, Select is there every step of the way. Visit us.select-sport.com for latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Christian Herrera still without a save in his first appearance in about 6 weeks. Granted, Spokane have only had the 1 shot attempt that just happened to go in the back of the net from Luis Heel, so can't really blame Herrera for that one. That's just sheerly sample size. But especially because of how well Switchbacks have done in this tournament, especially on the defensive side, you have to give credit for their ability to stay in, and especially for all the bodies in front to kind of cushion Herrera in that way. Fernandez boots it deep, has John Brown, hits the brakes, wanted to lead it ahead, but too far ahead of Nico Brett. John Brown, maybe a touch of indecisiveness instead of continuing the run. He tried to hit the brakes and get Nico Brett involved. And this allows Switchbacks to return on the flip in possession. Fjellberg on the outside, straight to Morancio. Offside regardless. This was that last opportunity, and you could see Derek Waldeck came up a little bit on the attack, maybe trying to block off the passing lane, and in do so, it left Fjellberg a little ahead of the pack. Simon Fitch has space outside for John Brown. Returns for Fitch. Just inside, in the middle. Black jersey's in the way. That allows Echeverria to escape his own end. Rocha will slow things down. As for Switchbacks, they started off this match in a slightly ugly note with Isaiah Foster going down. They're already a team dealing with all sorts of nicks and bruises, with Yasuki Hanya and Patrick Berner out of the match because of their respective injuries. And then you add in the early exit of Isaiah Foster as well. They've got 2.5 weeks of midweeks. So you're talking about essentially 5 games and a give or take 13-day stretch. That one served in and blocked. This will stay with Colorado Springs. Switchbacks in the box, that gets blocked. Follow up, could not stay in play. Goal kick, Carlos Morencio. Velocity fans, get match ready for the latest Velocity merchandise. Shop online or in the team store at Davenport Grand Hotel in Spokane. Spokane also announced, by the way, because of the wildfire relief efforts, they will be auctioning off some of the practice attire that is no longer in rotation, and that is also going to be available at the Davenport Grand Hotel. Tossed in, Brett, partial swing, John Brown, the follow-up. Fernandez back in the box, and the Switchbacks will give it right back to Velocity. Two subs made by Coach Wiedemann, now 2 made by Coach McCann. So Adrian Perez, 4 goals on the season, a Player of the Month of July finalist. He comes in for Frank DeRoma. Brennan Creek, the 2-year switchback, comes in for the goal scorer Fjellberg. For Perez, you're talking about 3 matches, 3 goals, and an assist in July to be a Player of the Month finalist. John Brown scoops in. Tejada had the head. Turned over Fernandez. Creek can't get by Fernandez again. Heel pressures on Herrera before he outlets for Maples. As we mentioned, it was Maples who scored the lone goal against Spokane in that round 2 matchup in the Open Cup, before Andrew Booth would eventually equalize, now on loan with Corpus Christi, who are surging up the USL League One table. Back in the box, worked outside. Masareka serves it across, headed back in the middle. Tejada turns, blocked. Fernandez gets it outside. Alexandra starts the break, and Waldeck slows things down. Center circle, Luis Heel retreats back. Colin Fernandez splits it out. Joe Gallardo and Neil Vignoles, two League One veterans. They are getting ready on the sideline. Right by our fourth official. Fitch cuts it down. Lewis. And Spokane will hold on to it. Still with just a touch over a third of the possession in this match. Fitch, high arcer, heel, back heels. John Brown across. Couldn't find the intended target in gray, but it does go back to Spokane by center. 20 minutes down. Carlos Marancio and Christian Herrera have both been broken through once. Spokane trying to defend their dirt, something they've done very well. 11-2-0 when they've been here at One Spokane Stadium. Fitch cuts back. LaCroix draped all over. Heel supports, serves it across, well high, and short of Waldeck. Perez sends it out of play. It stays with Spokane, and here come the changes for velocity. It is Neil Vignoles and Joe Gallardo. It is Vignoles for the goal scorer, Luis Heel. Joe Gallardo will assist up top, taking the place of Meji Alexandra, as all subs are brought to you by CTA Casino. Neil Vignoles has been excellent in regular season play. 2 goal contributions in the 2 matches before their long layover. And then Joe Gallardo had 1 of 3 in their 3-0 win against Charlotte Independence. Brett along the corner tries to keep it in play before he draws the foul. Three games down, this is the last game remaining. Hartford, San Antonio, and Louisville have all punched their ticket into the USL Cup semifinals, but who will join them? Can Spokane produce a shocking cup set, or will Colorado Springs come through for the championship to make it an all-championship semifinal? Maybe a chance to break through. Adrian Perez works on Waldeck. Perez in the middle, great block by Fitch. Masareka was on an island, but Simon Fitch got his body in the way. Maybe a chance to respond once again as Mahoney steps in. Just over a quarter hour left. Masareka gets bodied by John Brown in the box. No immediate challenge indication from Alan McCann, so we play on. Keep in mind, both coaches get 2 challenges for the football video support. It's only been used to confirm the 2 goals in this match, 1 each side. Perez slithering through. Looks for a lane towards Masareka. Masareka chips it. He's outside of his target. Follow up, Creek. Rocha. Blocked off by Covey. And Fitch only as far as Mahoney. Masareka and Fitch entangled once again. However, Fitch lost control. This was that last big block by Fitch on Masareka. And you can see no ill intent there as Fitch had the body within him. But we saw the indication right after that ball went out of play. The head official, Brendan Stevens, wants to see something on the board. Each coach gets 2 challenges for a goal, penalties, or red cards. And each coach gets 2 challenges. The only question is for what? And what would be the resulting verdict? So far, the only thing the football video support has gotten to is 2 goals confirmed. But there was the one-on-one with Fitch and Masareka, and they want to see if the John Brown contact at the edge of the area is enough to warrant a penalty, and we have an official verdict. No penalty, we play on. The initial ruling on the field was no penalty. It must be a clear and obvious decision to overturn. So we go back to the corner from ICCU. Scooped in, header, they just missed! Adrian Perez, a golden chance for a game winner. But instead, we have a goal kick and a hydration break. Oh my word, what a chance this was for Adrian Perez. You are talking about the width of the crossbar away. Just a handful of inches from a potential game winner for the Switchbacks. But all of Spokane can breathe a heavy sigh of relief. So, our man to watch at the beginning of the broadcast, Corey Bennett. He has entered the fold. I'm sure after that last missed header by Adrian Perez, you want all the offensive help you can if you're Alan McCann to end this thing in the 90 and maybe not force PKs. He comes out for Echeverria, as all subs are brought to you by CDA Casino. Back in the box, slapped away by Mauricio, foul against Colorado Springs. You also have the introduction of Garvin Metasala as well. And Mauricio a little bit laborious to get up, especially because he came back from injury about a month ago. And you can just see Masareka in the area. He ate all of that contact. That's all you want to see if you're Spokane. Substitution coming in for Spokane as we have hit the hydration break. It didn't come off the corner, it came off of that last little foul. Well, we might not have had a goal in about 50 minutes of game time, but it most certainly has been action-packed. Hydration break is from Powerade. And there haven't been a shortage of chances despite no goals in 50 minutes worth of game time. This was that last chance by Adrian Perez that would draw the sequential substitutions for Spokane Velocity. And you could see Perez, he had that first goal of this tournament in his grasp. Only an assist in round 3 versus El Paso to note. But especially at this point of the match, when both coaches are trying to talk tactics, gotta give a lot of credit to Lee Veman and Velocity after not playing a game for 18 days, a pair of postponements, in part because of the wildfires in the local region. And his team has most certainly showed up ready to play. Not just showed up in the context of this game, but even in terms of, you know, uplifting the spirits of not just the team, but the greater community as a whole, and how they've been able to do such a job. Just finding solutions and all the circumstances they've been in, building the resilience of the club as a whole. And we mentioned it in the open, they are not short of confidence. They were just short of rhythm. And Siobhan John Brown has disrupted a lot of Colorado Springs' tempo, but Rocky Williams, a young athletic academy product at 18, and the soon-to-be Oregon State Beaver, Rocky Wells, his last match as a pro, 7 in a Spokane uniform, and of the 7, 4 have been across cup competitions. And I'm sure that's someone that, at least depth-wise, Lee Veman would love to have, but of course the education and the personal elements comes first. Up the middle, Masareka had to scramble back to get possession. Spokane, scan the QR code for your chance to win a free water heater from Raptor, Rooter, and Plumbing, the proud plumbing partner of Spokane Velocity. So looking ahead, at least in the respective league play, Colorado Springs will be back home to play against Birmingham Legion. Rocha in the middle, back to Tejada. As that try from deep is well missed. Scan now for the latest ticket deals for Spokane Velocity. Speaking of, proceeds for the next match against Corpus Christi will go in part to the wildfire relief efforts. That is their next opponent coming up. 2 of their next 3 matches will be at home. They have this match hosting the Sharks, and then they host the Greenville Triumph afterward. A Corpus Christi team who has surged up the League One table, who are now 2 points away from 8th place Chattanooga. However, they have to enjoy this 3-game home run while they can, because they have a long travel ahead of them out east, in Westchester, in Sarasota, and some way coming back to Omaha before coming back to Spokane. Tejada, edge of the box, cuts across, and what a block made by Waldeck. This draws the ball back to Carlos Morencio. This was the try by Tejada. He lifts it across, and yeah, there was some contact there by Perez on the back of Waldeck as Waldeck was diving for the loose ball. So it was actually a foul against Colorado Springs. Soccer season is here, and SeatGeek is the official ticketing partner of the USL. Get all your USL tickets and more from the #1 ticketing site, SeatGeek. Your ticket for great seats. 2 straight coming up for Velocity. And the proceeds in their next match, the tickets against Corpus Christi, will go to some of the wildfire relief efforts. Maybe a chance for Switchbacks for one final run. Mahoney on the outside. Creek chases it down. Creek and Mahoney still on the outside. Up top, Perez. Great block by Spokane, but it's still with Colorado Springs. Final 5 minutes of regulation. If we stay tied, we go to penalties. Curled in. That's a jump ball. Tejada settles it down. Back up top for Rocha. Swirls away from Wells. This one shoveled across. Overhead, everyone out of play. You can win big at Spokane's favorite casino, Spokane Tribe Resort and Casino, located in Airway Heights. One thing for sure is for Alan McCann's men, they wanted to take their opportunities and maximize on them. They most certainly have done just that. 13 shots, but they have not been able to get them within the frame. Only 3 are on target. Loose ball, Nico Brett! Challenged by Herrera, still loose, Brett reaches, he goes down, out of play, and goal kick for Herrera. Vigneault's telling Lee Veman to set the challenge up. Each coach gets 2 challenges. Alan McCann had one at the other end. That did not go his way. The question is, will Lee Veman do so? He will! This is the challenge once again. It was fumbled by Maples. Nico Brett one-on-one with Herrera. And did Herrera get enough of the ball on Brett? The first try and then the second before Brett touches the ball. Our head official, Brendan Stevens, goes to the monitor. He's got Robert Vinca alongside him. And once again, it must be clear and obvious for a penalty decision. Both officials are there. We had one several minutes ago on the potential foul of John Brown on Masareka at the edge of the penalty area. That was unsuccessful. But now we have one of Brett on Herrera, and how can this go? This is the last challenge one more time. Brett charges in, Herrera's well off his line. He does get a slight touch of the ball the first time, but does that second one perhaps draw the penalty? They confirmed both goals. They tried to have a penalty challenge that went unsuccessful for Colorado Springs. And almost immediately after that ball went out of play, Neil Vigneault's on the field telling Lee Veman to set the challenge up. And this could be a make or break decision. Must be clear and obvious to overturn. There is no video assistant referee. There is no other external referee. This is solely the referees on the field with a video review. So at the end of the day, it is up to Brendan Stevens, the head official of this entire match, to set the final verdict in place. He has access to the monitor, as did Robert Vinca, but it is Brendan Stevens' choice at the end of the day. Similar to like you've seen in other leagues, must be clear and obvious. If it's inconclusive, it must stand. Two challenges, 2 unsuccessful. We play on 1-1 in the 90th. So if the verdict is inconclusive, they must stand with the call on the field, which was no penalty. The original signal was goal kick. And now a breath of life for the Switchbacks. Can they capitalize? Creek on the outside. That will go overhead for a Marancio goal kick. Can't watch the match? Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesday nights, plus your live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app. Three championship teams have advanced. One slot remains. If nothing gets determined in the next 6.5 minutes of CDA stoppage time, we go straight to penalties. Nil Vignoles outside for Wells. Sidesteps defenders, couldn't get away. Here's a chance for Masaryka. Fernandez, only a road bump, but it stays with Switchbacks. The only loss for Spokane in this tournament came from a championship opponent, Sacramento, in round one. Colorado Springs, they were a perfect 4 for 4. Matt Mahoney, Perez, return feed. The captain for Creek, up top, partial block, cycled around. Masaryka in the middle, too high, loose, other side, in front, Mahoney! He fumbled it, corrals it again. Williams reaching, Creek on the other end. 1.5, deep of 7. Williams, Mahoney. Served in, Covey got there first. Marancio punches it out. Only swept as far as Mahoney. And Gallardo has it land in front of him. Gallardo was subbed on in the second half. He had the legs, just didn't have the gas. Flung ahead. Perez stops it before it escapes. Elevated, Masaryka didn't get all of it. Marancio smothers. Colorado Springs, they are swarming the net of Carlos Marancio. Very similar amounts of offensive possession and just the ability to pepper Spokane like they did in that Open Cup match. They had 70% of the possession and outshot Spokane 29-3. Keep in mind, in that match, they had the extra 30 minutes of play before getting to PKs. If nothing happens in the next 4 minutes, you go straight to PKs. And they've had a similarly, not as dominant, but a similarly lopsided offensive production, 14 shots to 1. That one just happened to be Spokane's goal in the 14th from Luis Heel. Spokane to host Corpus Christi in league play. Colorado Springs to host Birmingham before they go back on the road to Phoenix. Flicked aside, pressure comes from Brent. The outlet for Rocha. Just over halfway through the 7. Mahoney steps up. Perez alongside. Perez. Too far from Creek. Brett's the lone man up top and draws a foul. The August slate for the Switchbacks ends with hosting El Paso and going to Lexington. as Simon Fitz just barrels into the board. You're talking about a lot of desperate teams in the horizon for the Switchbacks. Birmingham, they're 5 points from the playoff line. Phoenix after that, 4 points from the playoff line. And then you have El Paso and Lexington, both 3 points above Colorado Springs, who, as aforementioned, Switchbacks are trying to catch up to. So having potential results against El Paso and Lexington at the Paramount. But the opportunity to gain that momentum here in the USL Cup, be a match away from a second final in three seasons, can most certainly boost the confidence of the Switchbacks. However, same goes for Spokane. Not a lot of breathing room in the League One table. Could they gather something here and make a run in the USL Cup? Could there be a cup set in Spokane on what could be their third final in as many seasons? They'd be one match away if they can get something done in the minute plus or in PKs, where we'll go to if this game remains tied. Only one game in this quarterfinal has required the spot kicks. That was Louisville versus Tampa, where Lou City advanced to the semis. The draw is tomorrow at 1 on the USL YouTube channel for who gets hosting rights. Final minute of stoppage. If nothing happens here, we go straight to penalties. Lewis holds off Creek, and that will slow everything down. You just had Lewis scrapping with Creek, and Lewis was going down, and yeah, you saw the arm up there go on Brendan Creek in the face, but unfortunately this will not be a flip in possession, as VAR, the football video support, is only used for penalties, not for fouls. And with the drop ball, is there one last rush for either team? Colin Fernandez, Vignoles at center. Waldeck up the gut. Spokane will lay it back. Covey, one last push for velocity. Gallardo settles down, one-on-one. Gallardo chips it, headed out by Rocha, still alive. Lewis got the whistle against him. The shot was wide regardless. And we are going to penalties. 4 games in the quarterfinal. 2 will require the extra kicks from the dot to determine a winner. What an exhilarating match in the quarterfinals. No better way to end the knockout stage in the USL Cup. Despite the relative blowout of Hartford on Charlotte, you have the 1-goal decision that sent San Antonio to the semis, and then one of 2 games going to PKs. Lou City advanced against Tampa, and we're tied here in Spokane. This is a place where Velocity have grown very accustomed to. In their finals run last year, they would eventually lose to 1 Knox, but they would require 2 rounds of PKs to get there. They beat Tormenta and they beat Portland on the way there. And in the 2025 playoffs, they beat Forward Madison in the semis before eventually falling to the champions of the double, Union Omaha. As for Colorado Springs, they are 1-1 in 2 games that featured penalties this season. They beat Spokane Velocity 1-1 after 90, and they would beat Velocity in PKs in the second round of the US Open Cup. They would go to penalties again in the round of 16 in Dick's Sporting Goods Park against Colorado Rapids, where the Rapids would go through into the quarterfinals of the Open Cup there. 2 chapters, Colorado Springs, Spokane Velocity, PKs on repeat. It was the Switchbacks who took round 1. But the question relies on these two right here, Carlos Marancio and Christian Herrera. Both of each have had a month plus of layoff since their last appearance. Christian Herrera, his first match since July 4th. For Carlos Marancio, his first since July 11th in the last game of the USL Cup against Oakland Roots. All eyes point towards the right side net. Adrian Perez, one of the team's offensive firecrackers, the 30-year-old, the player of the month finalist in July. 4 goal contributions in 3 matches to open the penalty shootout for the Switchbacks. Perez gets it. Adrian Perez not really messing around. There's a reason he got 3 goals in 3 matches in the month. But now all eyes turn to Christian Herrera. He does have 5 years of experience with the Switchbacks, but no experience in this straight to PK format. At least in some of the other leagues professionally, like MLS Next Pro, that do carry it. He does have 3 starts in this tournament from last year. He goes up against Nil Vignoles, who is the League One leader in assists all time. Does he get a goal in round 1 of PKs? Vignoles will. Both went to shooter's right, but could see the elevation was too much for Herrera. Even at 6'7", couldn't quite get the height required to deny Nil Vignoles from tying things up after the first frame. Marancio, especially with the format of this tournament, a peek over at the notes against the former Panamanian international Juan Tejada. 5 goals in all competitions this season for Tejada. On Marancio. Just barely beats him out. It wasn't by much, but it was just enough, and Marancio guessed correctly the whole way through. That's a tough one if you're Carlos Marancio. You guessed correctly, his bottom right corner. You're just talking about a matter of maybe a handful of inches above the ball. Joe Gallardo, championship pedigree for Velocity. Won the double in 2024 with Union Omaha, where he was a finals MVP in 2024. Does he have an equalizer? Gallardo converts. Complete wrong side for Herrera. And that did not go in by much, just grazed the inside of the post, but at the end of the day, that's enough to get it into the back of the net. Mauricio stares down his next shooter, Talon Maples. He was the only one of the Switchbacks to score in regulation when these two played in the Open Cup. And he gets one here in PKs in the USL Cup. A very similar story, actually, to the Gallardo penalty that just happened. Mauricio dived to his left, but Maples went the same direction, but of course, you know, they're opposite of each other. And this puts Herrera on the line. Gets a yellow card for encroaching off of his line on Andre Lewis and delaying the reset, touching the ball in the process. On Andre Lewis, a former Switchback from 2020 to 2022. Lewis scores against his former team. These two played against each other, or rather together in 2022. Lewis's final year with the Switchbacks, Herrera's first, and you can see by the end of that a little bit of respect and mind games for two former teammates. Overlapped for the single season, and that's a smile of a guy who got bested by a former friend, an old friend. But how about some newfound rivals? Mauricio stares down the line. The rookie from Maryland, Saddam Masareka, in the top of round 4. He got it. No doubt about that one from a guy like Saddam Masareka. The Ugandan just got past Mauricio. Frustration shown. But good news for Spokane Velocity. They have an ace up their sleeve. The second leading goal scorer all time in the USL Championship, Nico Brett. He gets it. Brett, how many of his USL Championship record book 82 goals have come from the dots? All those years with Birmingham and Memphis, New Mexico and Pittsburgh in that route as well. Now the ace for the Switchbacks. Second in the USL Championship, 11 goals for Corey Bennett. Cheeky with the Panenka. A whole lot of gumption for one of the USL Championship Golden Boot favorites to pull off the Panenka in the 5th round of a PK shootout. Not just the 5th round of a PK shootout, one that could have made or break a spot in the semis. Now, another penalty for Spokane. Bottom of round 5. The center back, Ibrahim Covey. He missed it! Covey misses, sending the Switchbacks to the semis of the USL Cup. He lost his footing on the plant, and that sends the ball skyward. And the USL Cup campaign for Spokane Velocity ends in heartbreaking fashion in penalties. That ends the road for League One in this tournament, as the final 4 are set. The Switchbacks, Lou City, San Antonio, and Hartford. The reigning champs are alive. The champs from 2024 are alive. And the reigning Players' Shield winners are still alive. We wrap things up in Spokane when we come back.
Once in a while, we all want to go wild. We just need a little help. Meet a little help. The 2024 Ford Bronco Sport Wild Edition goes over any terrain, so you can go all out. Get a wild deal on a Bronco Sport today. Lease a Bronco Sport Wild Edition for $339 a month for 36 months, or purchase with $3.9 for 36 and get $2,000 wild bonus cash.
At Eastern Washington University, students and faculty work side by side to restore a lost prairie and decrease our carbon footprint. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And urban and regional planning students partner with cities to gather the data they need to address homelessness. Interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world. That's Eastern Washington University and you.
What a way to end the quarterfinals of the USL Cup on an absolute thriller that ended in PKs, where the Switchbacks are going to the semis in their first ever knockout campaign in this tournament before morning on the West Coast. Well, that'll do it for us here in Washington State. What a match this was. I'm sure a game that might have revitalized some of the devastation among the community. A great match ahead as we wrap things up here in Spokane. For our entire USL Cup crew on ESPN Plus, my name's Ryan Lee. Thank you for joining us. Have a great rest of your night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.